Let's have a look at the new Communities in Focus functionality that's recently been added to REMPLAN Community. Might, I might have a look at the local government area of Joondalup in Western Australia. So let's select that data set. Now, REMPLAN Community it's a heavily census-based resource from still the latest 2021 data back to 1991. We're of course looking forward to the census that's coming up in August this year. Now, as a default, we're looking at everybody who lives in Joondalup. A couple of years ago, we added our first community in focus, which was looking at people in the Indigenous community. And what you can do with this, it basically just highlights everyone living in Joondalup who identifies as being Indigenous, and then you can compare it with the balance of the community and just see if there are differences in distribution. It could be work, occupations, incomes, health conditions. And you can see here if we look at the Indigenous community in red compared to the balance of the community, it appears to be overall a much younger age profile. And you'll see that if you look under health and well-being, and if you have a look at long-term health conditions, you can see that that there's notably lower rates of those age-related conditions such as arthritis, diabetes, cancer. So, so what we've added recently is this new life stages reporting, and we might just have a look at something like religion. So you can see in the overall community, the largest cohort there is people who identify as being Christian. And then if we were to switch on, say, life stages and maybe focus on, say, young workers, you can see there's a slightly different, there's a bit of a difference there. So we're looking at young people, 25 to 34 years, the largest cohort for this group, secular beliefs. Now, we could then say, look at things such as housing, and this is a big part of what's driven this, that we want to look at particular age groups in society. So it might be younger working people, it might be people in those retirement years, elderly people, and just see if there are different outcomes in terms of, well, health conditions, household income, occupations, etc. But it's probably this focus on housing that's been particularly acute in recent times, and that's a big part of driving this, just to see what some of the differences are when we're looking at, say, young people, and we could say compare that with, say, older workers or people in retirement years, and you can see compared to those older age groups, those older service groups, of much lower rates of houses being owned outright. And look, part of that's a function of time, but there's some other structural changes that are having a bearing on that. And so look, whether it's younger workers or say people in those retirement years, you can just move backwards and forwards and select any single or combination of those particular groups, and you can always then compare to the balance of the community, and just to see what some of those differences are between that particular service group, in this case, young workers, and the rest of the community. So we hope that this is a useful additional feature within the software. For those of you that are already using REMPLAN Community, it might be timely to book in a refresher training session, which you can do via the book training tab at the top right of the software. If you're not using REMPLAN Community but interested in having a look, we're always happy to run demos over Teams or Zoom or in person as well. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.